Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Climate Actors series, brought to you by the Energy Intelligence. This is an interactive session for professionals in the climate and energy sector to come share their stories, their experience and journey in this space. And at the Energy Intelligence, our aim is to promote sustainable practices across all sectors. And my name is Elijah Parisa, and I'm here with our guest, Vivian Ogechi Nwadiaru. She's an energy engineer, infrastructure policy professional that's currently doing a PhD now in industrial engineering, basically focusing on energy optimization at the University of Massachusetts Amherst in the USA. She's also the co-founder of the company STEMJets in Nigeria. Welcome, Vivian.
Thank you, Elijah. That was like a very detailed introduction. It's my pleasure to be here, and I mean, what better way to spend my Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, exactly. I'm also glad to be here, and glad for us to be exploring this together and discussing the things we're going to be discussing today. So if you're here watching today, I will just encourage you to use the comment section. If you have questions to ask Vivian, you can use the comment section. You're free. Share this link for people also to join. And don't forget to stay until the end of the program. Thank you once again. So we're just gonna dive in. We have about 30 minutes, so we're gonna dive into the questions. So just before we go, Vivian, can you just tell our viewers just a few words before we start? Just say a few words to our viewers before we start.
Oh, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining. It's such an honor to be here, and I can just imagine that you have so much to do today, and spending that time getting to hear about energy, climate, sustainability. I think it just shows how interested you are in the world around you. So I'm glad that you're spending time with us today, and I am looking forward to having a very interactive session. It's pretty much just a chill and talk.
Yeah, so, I know, right?
So let's just chill.
Right? Yeah. Awesome. So we're just going to go into the questions and discuss around this topic of energy and climate change. So just before we dive deep into the questions, so can you just tell us what inspired you, like what pushed you into going into this field of energy and climate change? Was it something dramatic that happened, or did you just start from childhood? Can you just let us know? Yeah.
I mean, right now I feel like I'm writing a motivational essay for some funding, but okay. So, I feel that, okay, so I would say it's a spectrum of things. I started off as a materials engineer. So I had my bachelor's in materials engineering and materials and metallurgical engineering. And for my bachelor's, I worked on like sustainable materials for filtering water. So I was already interested in sustainability, even before sustainability became a thing, or like in how to use waste materials and recycling them. Mostly because I grew up in Lagos, and then you'd see like a lot of waste on the streets. And so it was always a concern for me to kind of like channel that waste to resource kind of mindset. So ideally, that meant that I was probably starting with the mindset of, okay, bioenergy, bioresources, that kind of stuff. So, and then eventually I worked on I applied for a master's in energy. If you're a Nigerian, you know that the power sector has been a challenge. Everyone knows that when it's raining, electricity is going to trip off.
You like it's just in the subconscious of people, right? Like,
yeah,
it's raining, just expect some lighthouse, like.
Exactly. So if you have electricity when it's raining, it's almost like you're wondering what's happening. So it's counter intuitive to you, like it's not what you would expect. So I guess all these things, and in addition to seeing how vulnerable most of the communities are with flooding, with so I just got interested in sustainability. Then it evolved into like energy and climate change. So I would say it was not a straight path saying, oh, I always wanted to do energy engineering, but more or less a number of things that interacted with themselves that shaped that path eventually.
Oh, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
I think
Nice
you're muted.
shift. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. Probably I need to shift a little bit closer. So that's awesome. A nice shift to the energy and sustainability path in your career. My story is a bit similar, but no, we are not here to discuss mine. So
I mean, no, please feel free. It's a conversation. It would be nice to know, like I think people just generally think sometimes you wake up and then you already know the problem you want to solve. But most times we grow up with these problems. We don't see them at like immediately. It takes like a broader worldview to understand that there are solutions to the problems that you're currently facing, and knowing that you can play a key role in that solution. It comes with just being in different environments and understanding how you can grow your technical skills. So I guess that's how that's my case in this situation.
all right. Yeah. Me growing up, like I never thought of energy, climate change, and things like that. No. Growing up, I wanted to be a chemical engineer, petroleum engineer. That mindset. Like you want to be either a doctor,
I wanted to
lawyer,
be a doctor.
wow, like yeah. And growing up, at a point, I also wanted to be a pharmacist. So I was just like in a kind of a circle. I'm here, I'm there. So I didn't really know where I am going until like I then came to a point where I was studying. My bachelor's was water and environmental engineering. So I was like, um, and even before that, in my high school, so I had some competitions where we did projects in bioethanol. We did some solar dryers and so on. So that's kind of shifted my kind of thinking. I was like, "Oh, this is kind of an interesting thing to do," and I was enjoying it while we were doing that. So after during my degree, I was like, I'm going to focus on this climate change, energy. So that's where I just said, okay, I need to focus. I need to put my attention and deep, deep, go deep down to know what this means. Yeah, so be kind of I was there and it just came in to to from not finding where I want to be and then finding a place in the energy and climate change space. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now we want to know, like, you were part of a fellowship, an international climate protection research fellowship by the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. So we want to know, it was about climate change, right? So like, what projects did you like work on? What problems and solutions did you work on in the field of climate change? Yeah.
Okay. So I will start with an introduction of AVH, that's Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, and like what the fellowship was about, because I know like the audience here, some people might be interested in applying, and if you're a climate actor, then definitely this is something for you. So the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation offers fellowships for researchers, postdoctorate researchers, pre-doctoral researchers, to come to Germany to work on a research that they have proposed. So basically, for my ICP fellowship, as it's abbreviated, the International Climate Protection Fellowship, it's targeted at youths, young people, and takes on, I think every cohort has about 20 fellows drawn from different parts of the world, from the developing countries. So we had participants from all over, from Colombia, from Brazil, from Nigeria, and the rest. It draws on people from different sectors. So it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to be working on energy engineering. You just have to be working on a different part of, on a different topic related to climate change. It could be related to migration. It could be related to mangroves. It could be related to sustainable cities. So in general, the fellowship just brings people together to share knowledge and to work on problems and solutions related to climate change. And for me, being interested in energy, I wanted to work on the very perturbing noise that we always faced in Nigeria at night. And if anyone knows that, that's like generators. So I wanted to I wanted to do a project on phasing out diesel generators, understand what policies, what frameworks, what consumer preferences or decisions will affect that transformation of the energy sector. What would necessitate phasing out diesel generators? So to do that, I started first with understanding what energy challenges that oil economies faced. So there's the common Dutch disease, which is like where like oil producing countries are always facing like this challenge of managing their resources, being able to grow economically, and being highly dependent on the revenue generated from the oil sector. So that kind of like puts them in this technology locking or part dependency, where there's not enough focus on other economic sectors. As you can see, like mostly from Nigeria also. I mean, although there's now progress being made in focusing on growing the agricultural sector, but there's so much more that we can do in those other sectors, in local manufacturing, that can actually generate more revenue for the economy.
Right.
But so far, there's a lot of interest in the foreign revenue that is coming from oil. So I decided to look at that, because for any sustainable energy policy to take root, or for a sustainable transition, there's a need for a very enabling policy framework. And that cannot happen if the priorities are not in place. So through that, I actually wrote an article with a few colleagues, which is on Elsevier or something. And so that was one of the like analysis. That was like something that I did, comparing that to countries like Kenya that have succeeded in introducing a lot of renewable energies into their energy supply mix. So then looking at that and understanding what are the peculiar challenges to Nigeria's energy supply system? Why is it that we experience a lot of blackout hours? Why is it that we experienced a lot of shortage in our supply? Why do we have grid failure? So I mean, all of that together comes into this whole ballpark of problems that make people turn to their generators. And when you think of how the generator works, I don't have to have a lot of money in my account. I can just go buy 1 liter of fuel or 2 liters, put it in past my neighbor generator, which is like the 1.1 kVA generator, or like depending on the size, it could be 0.95. And you pull it, and it supplies you electricity when you need it and for the purpose for which you need it. So I mean, of course, there are certain constraints to that supply. You can't maybe run, even use your iron, for example. You can't turn on the air conditioner. You can't. There's a limit on what you can do. But then for the user, it's just very simple for the person who wants to run their barber's shop at 1 o'clock because they have a client and there's no electricity from the grid. It's a very simple solution to their problem. So phasing this out, or like transforming the electricity sector, means that there needs to be a solution that kind of mimics the solution that is provided by diesel generators. So it's not just about availing people with solar panels or like solar home systems, but how do these people interact with that power system? Do they have, for example, if your generator breaks down, you have a technician maybe on the street that you can easily call to fix your generator. So in the case of a solar home system, is that technical capacity also available to the user? Because you would presume that the users are at different educational levels. They have different trust levels in the electricity system. So these solutions that would sustainably phase out diesel generators have to support users in the way they already interact with their energy system. So that led to like my analysis of the value chain, of the diesel value chain. Who are the actors? What is the market for diesel generators versus the sustainable alternative, which is a solar home system in this case? But I mean, there are other ways that you can power the grid. That's different. We're talking of like individual transformation of the power sector. So as a consumer, what would it take for me to leave or abandon my generator and opt for an alternative sustainable energy form? So I guess these are the topics that I explored during that fellowship, and I was able to interact with policymakers who had studied electricity markets, and I was also able to go for 2 months during like a whole term to I was doing this at the Technical University of Berlin with microenergy, and so I was able to go to the University of Oxford to work with a professor in the energy department, and then I got introduced to this topic of energy frameworks, energy cultures, where you try to understand the aspirations of the people, the norms, the culture that kind of like form these interaction with their energy system and the material world that they are interacting with. So what kind of technologies are available? Do they understand how their energy system works and things like that? So this, I don't know if you want me to keep going. I can talk.
I can see you have a lot to share on this topic that you kind of sort of went into analyze the problem of power outages and how to solve them, and reducing the use, or rather eliminating the use of gen sets. People just presume, oh, I don't have light. The light is not sustainable, so I can just go buy my gen. As they normally call it, I pass my neighbor, right? It's kind of, oh, I am a bit higher than my neighbor, so I can afford to buy my gen. And the other one who doesn't have, then probably can come to my home. If there's a match or there's a program to watch, you just come over and watch. And that imbalance has caused a lot of problems. Not even just in terms of the disparities, but also even health-wise as well. There's caused a lot of health problems for people. So I think we just stop there and then go to the next question, because this is kind of a broad topic.
this is a very interesting topic. You know, like we've only discussed how it affects the individual.
Yes.
There are also companies. I would just like talk about in 1 minute when I worked with Olam, a greater percentage of our spending, daily spending, was going to electricity generation. So we were generating electricity internally within the company to run the plant. And if you see this is why the manufacturing sector is not being sustained in Nigeria because of power outages. If I have to spend a lot of money to do a business, then I might as well just pack up and go to Ghana that has somehow grown their electricity access rates. Yeah. So please go ahead.
Yeah. Very, very high, spending goes into that area. So it's not kind of cost effective for companies to run. So now the other question would be, you're also interested as well in the low carbon energy transition. Yeah, we've discussed these are the problems, but now going and solving the problem, we have to look for means and channels to also reduce the carbon emissions if we want to provide access to energy, right? So, and if we look at the developed world, the developed countries, they started off with dirty kind of energy, if we call it like we'll name it that way, dirty energy, right? And this helped them to develop, to industrialize their economy and different sectors. Now, Africa, in putting it in terms of Africa, how do you think we can move or kind of industrialize Africa using low carbon means, like low carbon, alternatives to develop our economy? Because there's always a discussion, oh, you guys use this to develop your country, and then you don't want us to use it now, right? It's unfair. Like, so, like, what do you have to say? How can we tackle this? How can we transition smoothly into a low carbon economy and still provide access to energy?
I definitely agree that it is kind of a tricky question, not from you, but like it's a general discourse, in the energy space in the developing world, that how can Africa develop with just rooftop solar that can only power lighting, and then you say, oh, there's now 100% electricity access rates. So that brings in the question of quality, productive use, and like how the sectors can grow. It's definitely difficult, but it's doable. And why I say it's difficult is that there's a general misconception that once there's electricity, that there will be economic growth. Yes, that has been correlated, but there are other factors that play a role. So when you think of how Africa can industrialize or how Africa can grow, there are different school of thoughts. There are some people who believe that that we should just rely on like the way we already have our sustainable agriculture. There's no need to mechanize. There's this sustainability mindset that we can do more like cooperative agriculture and all of that, and just we don't have to grow in the same way that the developed world has. Then there's also a school of thought that says, oh, Africa can leapfrog these systems. Africa has the opportunity to go over this this dirty fuel kind of path. We don't need to go there, and we can now leapfrog. But Africa leapfrogging means Africa needs to be able to develop internally its own capacity. It needs to be able to have its the technology needs to be developed internally. So like all of those things tie together in how we can chase this growth, this economic growth, and move people out of poverty, because in the end, what we want is for people to live above the poverty line. In fact, we want there to be no poverty line in the first place. We want everyone to be able to afford a decent livelihood for themselves.
Yeah.
So I guess one path that we can go on is to go on to adopt climate compatible growth policies. And
Okay.
in my opinion, this would mean that in the short run, we adopt cleaner fuels. We know that natural gas is a cleaner alternative to coal, to oil. So natural gas is one thing that we can definitely explore. But in the same time, we work on integrating more renewables into our supply mix. And this is where electricity markets play a role. We can tap into regional power pools. We can tap into like a continental power system, but then that also brings questions on energy security and things like that. So it's not one solution that is tailor-made, that would, like a silver bullet that gets everything done. It's going to be an iterative process. It's going to be a process where we move, and it won't be a full-on a rapid transformation. It's going to be a gradual transformation, because we understand that our needs are enormous. And considering the population that we have now, we're already a hub for a lot of businesses to come invest in Africa. So definitely strengthening our power sector is very important for whatever economic future that we foresee. So we need to focus on strengthening communities internally. For example, I mentioned like the failure of the power grid. So how can we opt for bottom-up approaches? What kind of approaches can we adopt on the community level that will help strengthen the power grid? How can we look at jobs, like at infrastructure and all of that together? So there's also, I think, PIDA, the Program for Infrastructure Development in Africa, that is looking at how gas networks can be connected from Lagos to Algeria, how infrastructure projects can, the whole concept of trans-border or cross-border electricity projects. So these kind of large infrastructure or energy projects can help support communities and countries in general. We need to work in small collectives, but in a way that builds integrates into the whole continent. Like, for example, in Europe, they operate a European electricity market. Like there's that within the system where the grid is connected. So how we don't necessarily need to model that exactly, but we need to learn from how they were able to implement such a system. But also taking into consideration our own peculiarities.
I mean, like we have our own peculiar problems, and it's not necessarily like we must just copy and paste.
Exactly.
We can learn from them and then adapt it to our own kind of situation, because first of all, we have different terrain, we have different kind of approaches when it comes to solving problems. So it's not just a copy and paste kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Real strategy, going deep into knowing what we work and what will not work here in the continent of Africa.
Yeah, and we can see that countries are already doing that within Africa. Like there are countries that are already transforming their electricity sector by integrating more renewables, and they already have they've experienced significant growth in their economy. Like Kenya, I would always go back to Kenya.
Yeah, yeah, it's a reference point, right?
Yes, it is a big reference point.
Awesome. I didn't expect, like, we're almost close to time, but I didn't expect we're going to talk do it this way, but it's awesome. Even if we don't finish the questions, I would say this was successful and
Oh, it's 30
quite.
minutes.
Yeah, it's already 30 minutes, right? Like it's so fast.
Oh wow. Okay,
So,
okay.
so let's go into the next question. Access to energy. Yeah, still linking to what we're talking about, like access to energy. Low-income communities, they need access to energy. And now, okay, now we provide access to energy, we give them energy, right? Now, how about their economic life?
Mhm.
So let's talk about that. Bringing access to them, energy access to them. How can we then through that improve their economic lives, improve their livelihoods? What are those? What are the roles energy access can play in this?
Well, in one way to say it, it's always positive benefits, providing access to energy. One thing is, by providing access to energy, we are increasing access to markets. We are improving cold chains. So the local farmer can store their agricultural products, or the fisher can store his fish and then be able to sell to market without
Yeah.
having food spoilage. So that invariably increases the income to that family. By providing access to energy, you're increasing the productive hours for the economy. So you
Right.
can run a 24-hour economy if you have access to energy, because no one is going to be turning on a candle or a diesel generator in the middle of the night to power the economy. If you provide access to energy, the education system is transformed. We saw what happened in the last year with COVID and people having to study from home. There are marginalized communities and students in those marginalized communities that were not able to study. So they've lost 1 year of their life because they don't have access to energy. They don't have access to technology. So how can they be at par or compete globally if they can't have basic access to education? And some of the transformations that are going on in the education sector can only be powered with sustainable access to energy.
Yeah.
So we have to think of the micro, small, and medium enterprises. We need to think of the different sectors of the economy, which most importantly includes the agricultural sector, because our economy is largely agrarian, and
Mhm.
we need to explore that path to
Yeah.
to provide more incomes to those households.
Right, right. I will just we have some comments here. I will just go and then let's see what they're saying. Chidima, she's saying yes, reducing the complexities of the proposed solution is key. Just as we've discussed, right? A lot of complexities need to be reduced to uh, to solve the problem. And she also said exactly the problem, though, is that we seem to be more inclined to copying and pasting, forgetting that the metrics are different for us. I mean, yeah, that's what we're saying, right? Don't just copy and paste. Like you might not know this. Let's just use example the word document, right? Sometimes you copy and paste, right? And then maybe there are some words that you didn't really copy well, and then you paste. If you don't check, if you don't check, you end up committing some errors. And it's even worse with Excel.
Yeah.
That's one you have to really be
You have to
careful.
pay attention. Yes,
Especially their
copy and
formulas,
pasting
right?
does not work in any
Yeah.
situation. It doesn't. I mean, you have a different world you're working with, so you cannot just copy and paste a solution like that.
Right, right. So, okay, now, tell us about STEMJets. Tell us about STEMJets. You're a co-founder, right? So, can you just tell us about STEMJets very quick?
I think for me and my partner, STEMJets, or I would say partners, co-founders. Okay, yeah, just like it's a
Anyway,
passion
you're
project.
partnering, right? It's a partnership. It's a partnership.
It's a passion project. Like you said, when you were young, you didn't know,
Yeah.
should I do medicine? Should I do engineering? I mean, that's basically what STEMJets wants to look at. That's one part of the problem that STEMJets wants to look at. I personally also face the whole thing. Geology is so interesting. Oh my God. The medicine. Yes, my parents want me to do medicine. Engineering, I love maths. Oh, how can I put all of that together and actually chase a particular career? And the funny thing is that in most of our schools, there are guidance and counseling support, but
they are not used. Like,
exactly.
I remember when I was in school, I can't remember going there for any advice. Like, it wasn't a place where students go like regularly. Like, I don't know why they were there.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and even those who occupy the positions there are not privy to all the different career paths that you can take in a STEM, in different STEM disciplines. So that's one part of the problem that STEMJet is trying to address. So by mentorship, by connecting people to different industry experts, they can explore at the point of making their decision on what courses to study, that these are the array of opportunities that are available to you, and this is how you need to prepare for that. So we are basically addressing the skills gap in STEM, in science, technology, engineering, and math. So that's and we do that through mentorship, and then also gamifying the whole STEM experience, getting students to interact with one another. So we have like platforms where students discuss and talk about innovation in different sectors. How can they put the things they learn in the classroom, that theory, you learn the Y, the X, but you don't know how to apply it to real life.
I remember those days.
So how do you bring those mathematical concepts into your understanding of the economy? Or how do you bring that mathematical concept or that basic chemistry knowledge? How does the knowledge of the periodic table help you know how materials can be built? So, I mean, we do that through like using games, using storytelling as well. And I mean, it's still at infancy, and then we're growing that. And for us, it's like we're very passionate about that, and we're taking it one step at a time.
Awesome. Nice initiative to bridge that gap of knowledge for young children and young like youths that want to pursue their dreams. Very nice initiative. Thank you, our viewers, those that were able to join us. Adonye, excuse me, Achidima, Tony as well. Tony said, let me just read his comment. He said, "His copy and paste has led to these very many stranded assets in different developing countries."
True.
Exactly. Copy and paste, and you don't know how to then operate it, right? How to go about it. You don't even know if there's something wrong somewhere. Thank you for joining us, all our those who have joined us for this session, for this series. We're very grateful. As well, we have EJ Kama. Thank you for joining us. So finally, final question, because we are out of time. I didn't know we're going to take this much. Right. Final question, right? So what advice can you give to young professionals in this field, especially those in Africa? Yeah. Because majorly we're concerned with Africa, right? Yeah. So basically, what advice do you have for young professionals in this field?
The one advice I have is that there's no one advice for all of you. But generally speaking, as a young person, you have, I don't want to give you like an aspire to perspire speech. You have a potential to...
The motivational speeches, right?
You have a very unlimited potential to do a lot of good in whatever path that you find yourself in. What I find important in my journey so far is having mentors I can talk to in and outside the energy sector, in the development space. I'm someone who, if I'm working on a project and I identify a lead or a thought, like a leader in that space, I would shoot them an email and say, can we have a conversation for like 15 minutes? So I think that's something that we're not necessarily taught back home, that you can really approach people, because the relationship we have with our professors is always one of like a hierarchical relationship and not necessarily like a conversational kind of relationship. So the experts that you need to further your work are within reach. And if you write an email once and they don't respond, write a second one. At least until the third time, you're not stalking them yet. And if one person does not respond, there are 7 billion plus people on this earth. And I'm sure many more people in that space that you want to work in. So always reiterate, Google Scholar is your friend. Go type in the topic you're working on. Look at the people who have worked in that sector. Try to read their papers, read their point of view. Also express your point of view and let people know what you're interested in. And there's this concept of having board of directors. So have board of directors for your life. See your life as a company.
Yeah, I know, right?
When you have people with different stakes, because when the doors are closed and you're outside, there's someone inside who will be advocating for you. And you want them to know your essence. You want them to know what you're passionate about. You want them to advocate for your true person, and you want someone to actually be there advocating for you. So that's like my advice to young professionals out there. Pick whatever sector, pick whatever path that best appeals to you, and where you find that you have the technical skills to implement or make a change. Also, money is very important. So go and go for, yes, money is important. So make sure you're negotiating good deals for yourself, and don't settle for less. So that's it.
Wow, like I just feel like we should continue this, right? Like what you just touched now, this topic. I had a session in the afternoon, and we're talking about like salary negotiation. Like how should you negotiate your salary, right? Don't go low and don't go too high. How to be in the margin and showing your value and worth. I feel like we should continue, but time is gone. There's a lot to talk about, but we just have to stop here. And thank you, our viewers. Thank you, David. Thank you, Tony, Chidima, Adonye, Ijakwama, and everyone who is here that I can see all your names. Thank you for joining us for this second episode of Climate Actors series. We are glad you're here. Don't forget, you can go back and replay this after to still, get what we spoke about today to sink in. And we'll be glad for you to join us every month. It's a monthly series. Thank you very much, Vivian, for sparing time to speak to us today. I enjoyed it. Absolutely. Like I enjoyed it. It was a nice one. Thank you very much, Vivian. Just a goodbye to our viewers from you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I recognize my JBV fam. They're all there showing their support. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Chidima. Thank you, Adonye, David. Thank you all, and every other viewer that I can't really see your names, but I'm so appreciative. And thank you to the Energy Intelligence team for putting together this wonderful opportunity to discuss and just chat. I'm a chatty person. You can see I can talk too much.
We don't have to always be serious. Talking about energy and climate, we don't have to be always serious. Like, do this.
I know.
Nah.
We're real people. We're real people tackling this problem.
All right. So we stop it here. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.